Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Hope everyone's having a good week. I'm super excited about today's session, which will be fantastic add-on to the overall variety of talks we already had. And it will be with the amazing O, and I will call him O because I know how hard it is to pronounce his name. So hopefully he will forgive me for that. And I will let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about what his session will be about today. So hi there, how's it going?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's the first talk, so I'm excited. How are you? How have you been?
Yeah, it's been good. I'm excited to, have a chance to talk to people and still bring some exciting education and tips to our community, even though we would usually do it in person. But for now, it's at least nice to be able to talk to different human beings every week.
It's true. It's true indeed. So hopefully I can provide you guys with some additional value within the video space.
Absolutely. You will.
Do you want me to
Yeah,
get
if
up my
you want
slide
to
deck?
go ahead and share your presentation, get cracking. We will, everyone, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you know that, leave them in the comment box and we will get back to you. We'll answer your questions. We'll have a conversation at the end. But for the time being, the stage is yours. Here's your presentations and tell us why our videos don't work.
Thank you. So as the title says, why all videos don't work as they should. So pretty much just to kind of give you an indication of who I am, what I do. Intro, I've put O in brackets because a lot of people call me O. My name is Oyinkro Kagbala, or O for short. So I'm a self-taught creative. I pretty much taught myself how to do video and how to take photos in effect. I started off as a photographer around, well, many years ago. It was very much a side hustle. I started a business a couple of years back, which kind of inspired the business that I have today. And I was like, I want to do something within the space. And I came back from going on a work trip, and I decided to start working on Chaos Visuals. And yeah, Chaos Visuals has been going for around 2 or 3 years now. And we pretty much just focus on helping personal brands and businesses pretty much merge their content strategy with innovative storytelling, and just ensuring that all the videos that people produce are creative, they are engaging, and they're getting the most out of the videos that they produce. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Of course, you can connect with me at any of my socials. But obviously, why you guys are all here today? So we're going to be discussing the challenges that a lot of people have with content. We're going to be speaking about how you can find your creative source, and of course, a takeaway strategy. So one video is rule them more than any questions that you guys may have at the end. So to begin with, the challenges with video. The thing is, what people assume is that when you start posting video on your social media, you're going to be gaining more followers, more engagement, having more conversations and more business leads. But the thing is, what they don't tell you is that none of that actually happens straight away. What it does mean, though, if you start posting video on your social media platform as a business or for your personal brand, you're going to start building out your community over time. You're going to start positioning yourself as a thought leader within your space. And you're going to start giving yourself, you're going to do that through giving as much value as humanly possible. And over time, when you start that process to obviously, forever, you're pretty much starting your content journey of refinement. And I say that because every video that you do is only going to get better, but you have to start somewhere. So obviously we've established that, but the challenges that you do have when it comes to creating video. So do you have any questions when it comes to the types of videos, the challenges that you guys have? Let me know, because obviously I can address them as we go along. So is there any questions that people have with when it comes to what challenges that people have that they want to address when it comes to video content creation? Comments. I should actually go into comments. There we go. Any questions? Awesome. Okay, cool.
I think that we're good to go for the time being. I will be monitoring these questions. If there's anything that people want to know, let us know. Quick technical add-on. If you haven't used StreamYard before, for our watchers, for people watching, please make sure that you give permission. So when you're commenting, we actually know who you are and we can see your lovely face there.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So pretty much these are some of the common questions that I get on a regular basis. One, not having enough time. Two, I have no idea and have no clue what to say. I look awkward on camera, so no thanks, and I don't have the right gear. So let's address some of these challenges that people face when it comes to video content creation. The first one is, of course, not having enough time. Don't get me wrong, I completely understand that creating video content on a regular basis is very time consuming, especially if you do the whole pre-production, production, and post-production thing. It takes up time. However, there are ways that you can overcome this not enough time, challenge. The first is through bulk content creation, spending maybe half a day or a day, literally each week or each month, bulking out your content and sitting there and recording, 3 to 5 videos. One will ensure that you're going to be staying, on brand. You're going to be there's a theme within the content that you're producing, but also two, it means that you can kind of get it all done in one space, in one sitting, and then you can be consistent with your uploads over the next coming weeks. But the biggest thing you can do to overcome not having enough time when it comes to creating video content is all in the pre-production phase. Like all of the success that lies within the videos that you see online that people have posted and have done really well, and whether that means more followers, more engagement, more conversations, whatever it may be, it all lies within the within the pre-production phase. So planning, what you want to discuss, how you want to communicate that to your audience, how the story that you're trying to tell, all of that type of stuff before you even sit down in front of the camera will ensure that the time that you do sit down in front of the camera is going to be a lot more efficient. You're not going to be worrying about outtakes. You're not going to be worrying about, what you want to say or how you're going to film something, because you've already planned all of that before you even sit in front of the camera. So ensuring that you plan your videos before you even film will ensure that the time that you are spending on filming is going to be a lot shorter than maybe just jumping in front of the camera and filming. What about not having enough ideas or not knowing what to say? The thing is, I'm sure those watching, whatever industry you may be in, you're the expert within that field. You know way more than I do about, for example, it could be SEO, it could be Google Ads, it could be Google Analytics, whatever it may be. You know way more than I do within that field. So technically, you're a thought leader within that space. So when it comes to the things that you speak about within your content, there is so much for you to actually talk about. And if you actually sat down and wrote a list of all the things, all of that, the beginner pointers that you can mention or value you can provide to somebody within your audience, you'll be surprised how long that list actually gets. But now the challenge is, how do I communicate that visually? How do I get that across in a creative way that my audience actually benefits? So there are so many things that you actually can say within your space. It's just creating an environment for yourself where you can actually come up with those ideas and then of course execute them visually. What about I look awkward on camera, so it's not for me. Best believe when I first started out in the video space and I started producing content for myself over this past year or two, I felt super awkward on camera. I didn't like being in front of a camera. It is a lot harder than people think it is. Sitting in front of a camera, speaking to a lens is so hard. It's not as easy as everybody makes out, because we're used to human interaction. So seeing a lens is always a challenge, but there's a number of things you can do to kind of get over that. And like I said at the start, over time you'll start to get better on camera. Your presence will get better, your delivery will get better, and you'll stop focusing on what you think you see yourself as, because a lot of people, when they watch your videos, they don't see that. They just see the value that you're providing. They see the strong story, they see the creativity. They don't focus on the little quirks that you may pick up on yourself. So what about I don't have the right gear? This is a big one. A lot of people use this as an excuse to not create content or post video content on social media, even though it will really benefit their business or their personal brand. But truthfully, you really can start posting content with your phone that you have, or your webcam, or whatever you have at home available to you. Reason being is because this is what I class as kind of like the ultimate phone rig. So of course you've got a shotgun mic there, you have a phone cage there for extra stability. You have, if you want to take things that step further, you have that additional adult lens, and then the hot shoe mount, which you can add maybe a small light on the top of your phone rig for you to use. Of course, you don't need all of these things. You can literally just use your mobile phone and a pair of earphones. That works too, and maybe a lamp for some additional lighting. But again, thinking about how you can make your end output, your end video, a lot more enjoyable to watch for your audience will automatically increase the likelihood of your audience or your customer base or whoever you want to watch that video to engage with your content. You always want to keep your audience in mind. How do we make this video a lot more enjoyable for my audience to actually watch? So We understand some of the challenges. We've discussed some of the briefly some of the solutions to some of these common challenges that a lot of people actually face. But I guess you must be wondering, how do you find your creative source? So finding your creative source, you may be thinking, oh, what on earth is creative source? This picture, I love it because one, it's just the photos are taken in an amazing way. But on the left-hand side, you have source. On the right-hand side, you have juice. I'm sure right now in your fridge at home, you guys maybe have a bottle of juice or a smoothie of some sort that you guys are using that you have in your fridge to drink later on. And that juice probably lasts maybe 2 or 3 days. Doesn't last too long. In my house anyways, it doesn't last that long. Whereas on the other side of things, you've got the sauce. HB sauce, ketchup, hot sauce, whatever it is. Sauce usually lasts about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, sometimes months, right? If it obviously is within the use by date. And it's in your fridge for a long time. But how does this actually relate to the content that you're producing, the video content that you're producing? Well, it relates because we want to ensure that our video content is like the source. We want to ensure that the creativity is consistent. We want to ensure that the creativity lasts for a long period of time, and that when we post a video, it has a long shelf life. You know, when you post something on social media, of course, it goes and comes within 24 hours. But if your video is story driven, if it provides value, if it is creative, people will still engage with that content further down the line. I've had video posts that I've posted that have done really well, and people still engage with them today. So ensuring that, you know, you're touching on these points, which we'll discuss in a minute, you'll be able to pretty much access that creative source, you know, within your business, within your personal brand, that you can use on a regular basis to ensure that you're getting the most out of your video content. So how do we actually do that? That is a great question. Well, we can do that in a number of ways. Like I said, a lot of people feel that they're not creative or they don't have enough ideas. Hopefully this video plays. If not, I will just take you guys through it. But this video pretty much just touches on ways that you can improve your creativity. It talks about being in alpha state mode. It talks about, you know, taking down your ideas, knowing when to pause, getting inspired, and obviously taking a shower. So if I can play it and it works, it would be great. But if not, let me know and I can just talk you through it.
We've all been there. We've had good days and bad days. Days where the ideas don't stop flowing, and days where you wish you could just shut your laptop. Trust me, I've been there as well. But I'm here to show you 5 tips to improve your creativity. We need a little bit of music. Because when you're lacking motivation, when you're lacking creativity, we need to get your brain into an alpha state. It's one of the 5 tips I'm going to give you to never run out of marketing ideas. Because whilst you're listening to lo-fi music or study sounds, it gets your brain into this relaxed but concentrated mode where you can hit the sweet spot for your creativity. Let's set this up a little bit. But that's not all. Because when you do have moments of creativity and they come to you, don't let them slip away. Because during a day, we make over 1,000 decisions, experiencing decision fatigue. So the second tip is write those ideas of inspiration down. When they come to you, so your future self can thank you later on, including things like copy, inspiration you gain from other people, and videos and images. But what happens when you run out of ideas? Don't be afraid to hit the stop button. Because when you stop and you switch tasks, tip number 3, you allow your brain to go from a focus mode to a diffuse mode of thinking. What this does is, well, mentally and physically, you change your location, allowing your conscious mind to deal with a new task of making a coffee or approaching that new task at work, whilst your subconscious mind is still thinking about the problem it just faced. So simple as that. Tip 4, inspiration. Gain inspiration, just like the cat said, good iced coffee or great eyes still. To learn something new or to repost the content.
Cleared space for is to make sure that I'm connecting with people as much as possible. So just catching up for coffee.
And if all else fails, call it a day and take a shower. Tip number 5. You probably notice when you take a shower, you come up with some of your best ideas. And that's because the water in your skin distracts your conscious mind and your subconscious mind enter a diffuse mode of thinking, which I mentioned earlier, to tap into your creativity. So there you have it, 5 tips to never run out of marketing ideas.
So hopefully guys, that was a good video. The reason I showed that video, one, because it did really well on LinkedIn. Two, it was an absolute blast to film. And three, I just thought it was a great way to highlight ways that you can obviously ensure that you're always coming up with fresh, creative ideas. There's a bunch of different ways that, of course, you can ensure that you're always coming up with ideas, but these are the ones that, work the most. For me personally, I love when I'm in the shower. A lot of the videos I produce are always in there, and I get out, I write something down, and then I come back to it a couple of weeks down the line. But either way, another factor I obviously wanted to show you guys as well, because I wanted to highlight the fact that we pretty much filmed a marketing video in a gym to get across the points about creativity. And you can do that with any form of content, any idea that you have, whatever industry you're in. You can really think outside the box. Thinking outside the box will ensure that, again, you're keeping your audience in mind, you're keeping them engaged, and that you're getting the most out of the videos that you're actually producing. So of course you may be wondering, of course, okay, oh, we understand all of that, but oh, never play this again. Yeah, how do we do this? How do we ensure that our videos are actually working? How do we make sure that we're getting the most out of our videos and there is some form of ROI? And there's a few ways to do this. The first, of course, is keeping in mind that you want to ensure that the video content you produce is the gateway to communication. And it goes on to talk about how good content is not storytelling, it's telling your story well. And the reason why I've mentioned this is because within all the video content you produce, making your audience the hero within your story is the key to basically the key to your success. Simply just because if you empower your audience with the skills they need to solve the problems that they have with the solutions that you're providing within your video content, right? They will watch your videos. So if you give them the tools and skills they need within your video content through storytelling, through creativity, right? They're going to buy into, of course, the solutions that you're providing, and they're going to feel empowered. They're going to leave with value, with things that they can actually apply within their own, strategy or within their own, workforce. So this is something to really keep in mind, making sure that your audience is the hero of the story within your video content. So this is pretty much a video checklist. So I came up with this, but I found it the other day that apparently it's in a sales book and there's like a couple more E's, but either way, still it's a great acronym. So the C effect, how do you see your audience? So how do you ensure that when you create a video, that video is actually providing value, you're getting some form of ROI, you're creating that conversation, you're positioning yourself as a thought leader, and pretty much you're able to, that you're getting something out of the videos that you're creating, and it's not just kind of collecting dust, as it were, once you posted it. And that the C effect stands for captivating, engaging, and encouraging. So you need to captivate your audience within the first 3 to 5 seconds. It's a really big thing. There's so much video content out there now, and people are posting more videos and just general posts on social media. In order to cut through that noise, you need to ensure that you're capturing their attention within those 3 to 5 seconds. And a lot of people kind of miss this trick, because what I see a lot of people doing is introduce themselves. Hey, my name is O. Today I'm going to be speaking about, why you should be using video within your content strategy, right? By that point, I've probably already, someone watching that video has probably already scrolled past. Within those 3 to 5 seconds, you want to do something that's funny, that's engaging, that's shocking, whatever it is that captures that person's attention instantly. After which, you then can proceed to just start your video. And then if you want to show your logo and everything else, you can do that at the end of the video if people have stayed that long. So you want to captivate your audience's attention. What about E? So if you've captivated their attention, you're then going to encourage them to stay the whole 120 seconds, stay the entire video, because they're like, all right, cool, this video is interesting, it caught my attention, what is he going to talk about? And that's where you need to ensure that you're providing the value throughout the entire video, so that you're encouraging them to keep watching right to the end. And then the last E is encouraging them. You're encouraging them to then engage, leave their thoughts on your video, and that's where that conversation pretty much starts to take place. The next checklist is creating the value that you wish to see. I think before you post any video, because a lot of people kind of forget this, they post a video, it doesn't get great engagement, and they're like, oh, the video doesn't work, it's pointless. And it's really just because there's no value involved. Don't jump in front of a camera and start selling to your audience about why they should buy into your services or why they should invest in your product, whatever it may be. You need to ensure that you're providing value. whatever video that you share and post, right? The main things, if you're going to take away anything from this talk, is it's got to be value driven, it's got to be story driven, and of course, it has to be creative. So ensure that you're providing value. So create the type of value that if you as a customer were looking through your social media, social media feed, you would like to see yourself. What would you benefit from on the other side if the shoe was on the other foot? And like I said, you guys can all be thought leaders within your industry, and you can use video to do that. But you need to ensure that you're providing that key value. The third point, are you adding your own unique spin? A lot of people say there's so many people out doing video, or there's so many people doing, X, Y, and Z within my industry. But, if you have two people that you're going to invest in, so you've got Bob and you've got Frank. Don't know why I came up with those names, but I'm going to just roll with it. Bob, for example, doesn't use video. He doesn't post any social media content. However, his services are great, his prices are great. But Frank does post a lot of content. Frank posts a lot of video. He shows his audience, behind the scenes, and he adds his own unique spin to things. And don't get me wrong, his prices are very similar, and the services are also very similar. As someone who wants to buy in to one of the services, I'm most likely going to go to Frank because one, I can see his character and his brand values within the way that he's producing content. I'm like, all right, I like how he does that. I like what he discusses. He's providing me with free value because he's adding his own unique spin to things. And that's why it's a really important question to ask yourself when you produce some form of video. How are you being different to everybody else who's posting maybe the same topic or the same type of content? And of course, being creative and being story driven within your videos is one of the ways that you can do that, because we all have very unique stories. The last question is, would you watch this video yourself? Before you post that video, would you actually watch that video yourself if you were on the other side? If you were the viewer, would you spend the time to watch that video? And I think asking yourself that question, when I do that myself, sometimes I create a video and I sit there, would I watch this myself? And sometimes the answer is really no. I'm like, this is a really boring video. So I have to go back, I have to re-edit it, maybe I have to refilm some parts. Because for me, again, I'm trying to always keep in mind my audience, because if you keep in mind your audience and you make your audience the hero of your story, there is an increased likelihood that they're going to engage with that content and they're going to actually communicate with you, and you're going to get those conversations rolling. So hopefully, guys, obviously that made sense. And I like this sort of quote by Seth: the most important post, the one you'll write tomorrow. Same thing, the most important video is the one you'll do tomorrow, because every single video you do will always get better. The one video to rule them all. So this is pretty much like a takeaway strategy. So we've discussed, of course, the challenges. We've briefly talked about the solutions within, to overcome the challenges. We've spoken about how you can ensure that you're always coming up with fresh ideas, things you can do to inspire yourself and stay creative. And then now we're going to speak about the types of content that you can produce. Like I said, there are so many things and so many ideas. I'm sure when you get going, you'll surprise yourself. So it comes down to planning. As I mentioned previously, it really does come to planning. Whether you're producing photos or taking videos, whatever it is, just sit down before you produce any content and think about, those key factors. How can I provide value? How can I ensure that my audience relates to the story that I'm telling? How can I communicate this value in the most creative way possible? Whether that's through, funky transitions, whether that's through, change location, whether that may be, in creating maybe an alter ego, for example, within your videos to get a point across. These little things that you can do, you don't need to create a Hollywood movie, but there's little things you can do to just really increase that overall engagement, increase the chance that people are going to engage with that video content, and it's not going to just collect dust and gather a few likes and nobody's going to comment or conversate on that post. You want people to engage. You want to use video to create conversation, within that specific area, because that's what video is for. It's a great tool to use just for that. So like I said, planning is vitally important. And this is a great way, before you even sit down and record anything, to kind of visualize your story, visualize what you want your overall video or end product to look like. So when putting together any form of video strategy or just a video in general, 3 things you need to keep in mind. An objective. So every video needs to have an objective. Ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve with this video? A theme or story. every video, even if value driven, should have a theme or story which is built around your video objective. And this is a really important point because as individuals, we all like to relate to a story. When you go to a movie, you know, you either relate to, for example, the bad guy, the good guy, whatever it is, you relate to someone within that movie because you're like, you know, I've been there before, and you're more enticed because of the storyline. And it's the same thing, even within business. If you become an effective storyteller and you can communicate that story in a very visual and engaging manner, you'll be able to draw in your audience in a way where they too can relate to what you're speaking about. So every video that you have should have some form of theme or story that is built around the objective of what you're trying to achieve. And of course, the final point is a creative delivery. So the use of video, of course, is on the up. As I mentioned, many people are using more videos within their business. You're going to see it all over social media because people realize, yes, you've got to do video, but it's not just a checkbox. Don't just tick it because you have to. If you think about these 3 points, you know, objective, the theme or story, and how you can creatively deliver that to your audience, I can guarantee you'll start to see that increase in engagement. You'll start to see people actually commenting more so, people reaching out to you, and you'll start positioning yourself as a thought leader within that space as a business or a personal brand, right? So ensuring that you have that creative delivery, it's just like a cherry on top. It's just a nice way to think about, you know what, I'm keeping the person watching this video in mind so that when they're spending a minute and a half, 2 minutes watching this video, they're not bored and they enjoy it, they're getting value, and they're going to come back and watch again. So it's a really important factor that we keep these 3 elements in mind when creating your videos, because pretty much these 3 elements are the ingredients to that sauce that we're talking about before. If you ensure that you keep all those 3 things within your videos every time you produce any sort of video moving forward, yeah, the shelf life is going to last some time, and you're going to have that creative source always flowing throughout all of your content. The final point is pretty much a takeaway strategy. So a takeaway strategy for you guys can just screenshot this. I know that Lenka's going to send this through to you guys afterwards, but in effect, I shared this because it's just a great way to show that from one video, you can produce more than 9 pieces of content, by the way. So, you know, if you were to just create one video, like I said, you've pre-planned, you've done your pre-production, you've thought about how you can be creative and engage your audience, you've thought about your objective and how you want to communicate this visually to your audience. It's all been done. You come to film, you film that one video, even if you get one video done, right? That one video could then turn into a blog post. That blog post could then turn into some LinkedIn video posts. You know, that thumbnail that you've posted, for example, on that video could be a separate post in itself. And for me, the reason I put this in here, I know this is, you know, we're going down a different direction here, but I put this in here because I wanted to highlight to people the importance of the power of video, right? With other content, you know, you only can do so much with it, but with video content, you can really get so many other forms of content just from that one video that you produce. If you're spending the time to produce, you know, 3, 4, 5 videos every single month, right? That is so much more content that you could be producing just from those individual videos. So hopefully, guys, this all made sense. Apologies if I did speak a little fast, first time in a public talk. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, of course, yeah, please let me know. Thanks for listening.
You, Chota, brilliant talk. I think no one would have known that this was your first time doing a presentation like this. I think that you really need to be, you know, proud that you not only know how to create fantastic videos, but you know how to tell people and teach people how to do that too. So
thank you.
Brilliant. We have a couple questions that I will bring your way, and we will have a chat about them. First one is from Lillian. She's asking, I think experts are coming out all gently. So kind of to wrap this conversation, could you give us some best tips on what formats, what editing software is
Okay.
if we put all this effort and we're actually at the end of we're starting from the end, we're at the end of the journey, we have the video, we've edited it, and now we're like exporting it and putting it on social media or somewhere, and it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, great question. I saw that and I was like, wait, I'm a little confused, but that makes complete sense. So yeah, I think it depends what software you use. I'm not sure what you're using, Lillian. But for example, I use Premiere Pro to edit a lot of my content, Premiere Pro and After Effects, pretty much the entire Adobe suite. And you know, I can send you like some links where you can they go into more detail about exports. But when it comes to just formats, you want to try to ensure that you're exporting your videos in MP4. I think 1080p if you can as at a minimum, because if you think about it, if you post a video on a social media platform, it's going to be compressed. So that is going to affect quality. So when you're exporting your original video, you want to kind of over export it so that you're exporting it in a higher resolution, so that when you're posting it on a social media platform, when it gets compressed, it doesn't look like really bad. Because, you know, one of the things, I'm sure if you posted, you know, when you post a video on Instagram, whatever it is, and you're like, my video did not look anything like that when I actually filmed it. So this is just a way to kind of manage that. When it comes to the actual aspect ratio, always shoot by 16:9, which is just a horizontal format. So again, just ensures that you're getting the most out of the space that you're given on these social media platforms. For example, like LinkedIn, you can post vertical videos, but I would say if you can, film in a horizontal format. But yeah, I think maybe you can reach out to me afterwards. We can just discuss specifically what challenges you're having, what platform you're using, and I can give you a bit more direction in relation to what you can do. So
awesome. We have two quite similar questions, at least in my mind, are similar. Claire is asking, if we create short form content, for example, Reels or TikToks, how would you recommend, what content would you recommend for that? She is unsure how to be engaging in a short form. And there is a similar question from Alex on advice on nuggets towards getting a message across in a short form reel or app. Straight after each other, two same questions. So there is something that people want to know.
Yeah, no, they're great questions. So it's I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's the hardest thing to do. Being creative and providing a lot of value in a very short space is quite difficult to do. But it does come down to just obviously the planning involved, right? And I think with the ads specifically, I think with ads, you're normally looking around 15 to kind of 30 seconds. And of course, again, if it's, for example, like a product, you always want to highlight, I guess, you want to highlight from the get-go straight out something that's very powerful, very impactful, in line with the music, punchy, that grabs attention. Of course, it differs from product to product, but you just want to use those first 5 seconds. Again, it's all within those 3 to 5 seconds, I think, within the ad space specifically, to grab that individual's attention, or whoever you're trying to sell to, in effect. In relation to the Reels side of things, when it comes to just what type of content you should produce, I think it really varies. I think Reels and Instagram stories are a great way to kind of show, well, Instagram stories are a great way to show behind the scenes. So that's like value-driven content, but in a way where it's just, pick up your phone and you film. Reels, you can get super creative with Reels. You can take more of the educational route where, it's just short, very, very value-driven snippets, where I do a few of those. Or at the same time, you could, for example, put together something that's just pure B-roll. And that's the way to get creative. You take loads of cool B-roll snippets, you piece them together, you add a nice voiceover. You're still providing value, but visually it's very enticing, it's very enjoyable to watch. And of course, there's a bunch of stuff on Reels and TikTok that you can use when it comes to the way that you edit things. But it's just thinking about, again, your audience. And I think when I love people do this a lot, and I love watching these types of videos, even with talking heads, getting really creative with transitions. If you're doing like a talking head, for example, and like I'm sitting here talking to my phone camera to post on a reel, within, let's just say, my 3 paragraphs or 3 short sentences that I want to say on camera, I maybe will transition maybe like 2 or 3 times. So I say one line, and then I transition to a completely different location. I say my second line, and then I transition to a completely different location, and I say my third line. Doing that, it seems really fluid. It seems like you've just said one, long piece of, I guess, of whatever you're speaking about. But visually, it's really great to watch because you're getting funky with transitions, whether you're whipping up and down, to the side, left and right. Maybe your clothes are changing color, or you're changing it, whatever it is. Like, these are the types of things that you can think about, because not every talking head has to be, a Hollywood movie. You don't need to go, you don't need to do the most. But it's just about, you can just sit and record a video and talk to the camera, but it's just about how can you visually make that a little bit more interesting. So if you address the what you need to say first, and then think about, okay, cool, what 3 things can I do to maybe switch on my angles or my colors, whatever it may be. That's some of the ways that you can make those types of videos a lot more interesting. Hopefully that answers the question, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. So you touched on this question a little bit. I think there might be a little bit more that you can share. It's how to be efficient with creating video. So we talked about kind of batch creating, but are there any clever time-saving tips, apps, or software that you could recommend?
Time-saving tips. If I had any, I'd be doing it myself now. No, I think the biggest thing is just bulk creating. If you spend time, for example, on a Monday, spend an hour or 2 just planning your videos out for the month ahead. And then of course the next week or whenever you get time, spend like literally just half a day, just do all of your videos in one hit. I think if you do one video at a time, it takes some time to get into the swing of things, get into the flow of things, get your things set up and recorded and all that other stuff, you know, with retakes. So I'd probably advise that if you want to produce video content consistently, let's just say you take the month of April to prep yourself for the entire month of May. So like within April, plan all of your content and then spend like a half a day or a day filming all of your content. And then you'll always be a month ahead of yourself. And then you post all of that content in the month of May, which means that you're always going to have time. You're not going to be stressing because you need to get another video out, and you'll just allow yourself to have that space and mindset where you can think more creatively, and you can like really just plan out your video. So yeah, the best, I guess, time-saving tip when it comes to creating the content, just bulk create. When it comes to apps and software, one thing to do with your videos, ensure you have subtitles and caption all your videos. And you can do that by either using Revs or using Get Subly. So I use both. I've used both in the past, and Subly is a great platform to use. It's super fast when it comes to getting your video subtitled. What's great about it as well, if you don't have any editing application for you to, for example, like add an actual subtitle SRT file, which is a subtitle file, you pretty much can just upload your video to Subly, and then Subly will add your subtitles for you on the video, and you can change like how it looks, you know, the color of it, for example, the size, the font, which is a really great tool. So Subly, if anything to take away from this, is a great tool to have when it comes to the subtitling side of things. Editing wise, there's a few apps on the phone like Adobe Rush, what else? Splice, InShot, what else? I think Free Video or something. Viva Video, something like that along those lines. There's a bunch of different apps on there, but the best ones I would probably say are Splice and InShot. They're like a really good apps to use. One of them is paid, one of them is free. But whether you have Android or Apple, they're just great. They're great video editing apps.
I absolutely love the advice of kind of bulk creating, because it even comes not only for video but for anything. If your medium is copy, if your medium is podcast, it definitely comes from, you know, the science of neuroscience and everything that says that we can't multitask. We are simply switching from task to task, and every switch just takes a lot of load on our brain and makes us less efficient, less effective, and less creative. So actually, by doing this in a bulk, you're not only obviously giving yourself the luxury of then having a content ready for a month ahead, but you are really putting yourself like in the best position to win and have really creative content, because you're working with your brain, not against your brain.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Working with your brain, not against it. And to add to that, I guess, is make your content work for you. You know, don't work against your content. So you don't want to produce stuff and then you're trying to make it work because you didn't give it much pre-thought, or you didn't plan before you started filming, or you know, you take up so much time. So you want to always make your content work for you, your needs, and your business. So.
And you touched on earlier on the repurposing, and I think repurposing is such a, you know, having not only a plan for the creation, but having a plan for the production and the promotion and repurposing. We did have a great talk last year from Sarah Moore, who is the queen of content and the queen of repurposing. And she is an Aussie videographer, so she definitely starts with a video, and she shares some brilliant insights into how we really can then repurpose. And if you create one main video for your LinkedIn or somewhere, how do you make sure that you get the most out of it? And you mentioned that you're using Subly for kind of the captioning and stuff. And we are using something similar called Quick, which allows you, again, not only to add captions or videos, but it's a great tool where you can search for keywords. So like all the content is kind of video content, which is fantastic. It's keyword searchable, so we can then go through the content and find snippets on a keyword and very quickly edit just a quick snippet and repurpose the videos that we're doing very quickly and efficiently. So I think having a couple of these tools then in your pocket for the post-production promotion and repurposing is so powerful.
I like that. I haven't heard of Quick before, so I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, check them out. They're cool. They started as a competition to Rev, doing mainly just the captioning, and they are more the two. You can burn the captions to video, but they have brilliant software this year that allows you to upload like tons. Like you have such a huge bank of videos, you can upload all your videos, and then all of it is keyword searchable. So you can just search a keyword or a phrase, It will show you all the videos that include that keyword, and you can cut it and very quickly caption, burn, publish, which is absolutely life-saving for
there's something similar. There's something similar to that. I think there was, I don't know what it's called, but it was one of those things where it is keyword searchable too. But I think I spoke to one of the guys, sent me through like a, you know, when they take you through like a user experience type thing, a video, and it was a bit too expensive because it was more based for like, I guess, bigger agencies or businesses. But what was great about it was that the technology they were using would take, for example, your 10-minute video and would actually snip and actually cut up for you the snippets, for example, and then add captions, add a title. And I thought that was mad. They would take like 10 seconds. They'll just like, actually just cut out 10 seconds. But you wouldn't have to do it for yourself. You would just say these keywords, X, Y, Z, and it will just literally just, you know, chop and trim it all up and then share it for you automatically on the platform. I know that Gary Vaynerchuk was using, he was using it on one of his LinkedIn, Twitter profiles, for example. And that's what it was telling me. And they were taking me through, you know, how he was using it, how his agency was using it. And I just thought it was mind blowing because it allows you to get so much content out with very minimal work. But yeah, well, it's crazy technology.
And I think there's more technology like that coming very soon. We're on the edge of where the artificial intelligence will be able to do lots of these things for us. But we still need to create the videos. We still need to create the kind of cornerstone piece and have the quality bank of videos. So that's why I'm like, yes, do this. Another question from Lillian: would you recommend lapel mics?
Good question. So yeah, I 100% recommend lapel mics. I think if you're got a mobile, if you're filming on your mobile phone, they're just a great budget-friendly option. I use lapel mics with my camera setup, and of course when you're filming, wireless lapels and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's just a great budget-friendly option. I think if there's anything that you want to improve within your videos to begin with first, it's probably your audio. So before you invest in a camera, before you do all of that other, you know, the other stuff that people do when you're filming content, if you can invest in a good mic, whether that be for your webcam, you know, whether that be for your phone, for example, whatever it is, increasing the audio quality always goes a long way and makes the viewing experience a lot more enjoyable. So
awesome. We're switching gears a little, and James is asking, how do you beat the fear of recording and the fear of posting yourself, because video is very exposing in a way to the world?
Good question. And hi, James. Thanks for the support. Much appreciated. Yeah, good question. So pretty much in relation to that, everybody had one. You have to start somewhere. So for me, when I first started filming, I felt the same way. I look back on my first video and like my voice was wavery. I was like barely looking at the camera. But the best way to overcome that, the best way I overcame that, and I always encourage others to do the same, is to just get used to speaking on camera. So you don't need to post it anywhere. You don't need to create like a Hollywood movie. Like I keep using that reference because some people think that's what you need to do when you're posting your first video. Literally just pick up your phone, you know, one afternoon or morning and just film your first video. Talk about whatever it may be. Talk about your day. Talk about something that you've learned, whatever it is. And then just film it, save it, watch it, and then repeat. Like seriously, that is the best technique when it comes to just increasing your overall confidence, because what will happen is that you filming in your house in a space that you control, that you feel comfortable in, you'll start to increase that overall confidence when it comes to just speaking to a camera. But also, most importantly, you'll be able to watch that back and make any adjustments that you need. Okay, cool, I look slightly to the left when I'm speaking to the camera, or I speak too fast, something I always need to work on. I do speak too fast. You know, I need to slow down a little bit there. And doing that over time, you'll start to be able to refine your overall videos, and then you'll get to a space where, all right, cool, like actually let me post a video. So once you've done that, maybe a handful of times, then just post your first video, you know, post it. And I'm guarantee you, like people who don't post videos, when they eventually post a video, like everybody always gives them so much support. Like everybody I've seen anyways, like you always see, because it's a big thing, like it's not easy to post a video. So within your network, everybody's gonna be like, great video, really enjoyed that, you know, looking forward to the next one type thing. So, and that always boosts confidence. And then after that, it's just being consistent with it, just ensuring that you keep posting, you keep pushing that creative needle, you keep challenging yourself. And over time, you'll start to feel a lot more comfortable in front of the camera and a lot more confident. But most importantly, even if you've been filming for 2 years or more, like I've done loads of videos at this point, I still get nervous when I sit in front of the camera. I still have weeks where I have very little motivation or drive, or that I'm overthinking it and my anxiety is getting the best of me because I'm like, oh, like, maybe it's not going to perform as well as the last one, or it's not going to be as creative as my last one. And that's obviously a me problem. That's nobody else's problem. And so again, like even then, like it's one of those things where even though you may have done loads of videos, you're still not going to have it down to a T. You're always going to be improving, but the most important thing is that you're doing it. So hopefully that helps.
I love that. I love the fact that you're just getting comfortable with the technology, with the setup, with talking to the camera. I know that when I started with the video, for me, I started doing Instagram stories because they disappear. So for me, it was like, it's not forever. I
I like
can
that.
like test the waters a little bit by put a story, but by default, stories are very raw. They're very they can be shaky, they can be imperfect. It's a fast-paced, real-time, raw, unpolished kind of a video, which worked for me to really get practicing how the phone works, how the technology works, where am I looking, how it comes across, how am I speaking, in a kind of safe way where I knew that it will disappear very quickly, so it will not be permanently out there.
I like that. I like that. That's great advice. I think stories are a great place to start when it comes to just posting. And I think that's what when I started posting more videos on LinkedIn, my confidence on something a lot more raw, as you mentioned, like IG stories or LinkedIn stories, for example, like it doesn't seem as like as a big thing because you're like, oh yeah, like, I've done videos before, and you'd be surprised. Like you think the whole world is going to watch your first video. Like in all seriousness, when you post your first video, you think everybody is going to watch it and critique you. Nobody really cares. So having that mindset, I'm like, actually, you know what? No, I'm probably not going to get loads of views. That's okay. It takes off the pressure. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be silky smooth. You just have to enjoy the process. So yeah, I really do like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Talking about LinkedIn video, we have an interesting question from Eva asking, do you think that video content is actually appropriate on LinkedIn? That she's seen comments on that platform recently that users prefer text. So what is your view? Because video is your main medium.
It is. Great question. Well, my in short answer, I think it's very appropriate. And I would say that simply just because I've grown my whole business on posting video content on LinkedIn. Of course, I post other forms of content, but for reference, like when I first started, I think I started posting properly last year, 2020, beginning of 2020. When I was working full time, I was posting like 4 videos a week, and that really took it out of me. I was posting like literally Tuesday to Friday, a new video every single day. And then that dropped down because I just couldn't keep it up anymore. Then I went on like a long hiatus for like a month, 2 months. Then I came back and I was like, you know what? Let me just post 2 videos a week, and I'll fill in with text posts and image posts. But what I love with the latter is that it obviously it switches things up. People have something to look forward to in my content. But yeah, I always say video is very appropriate on LinkedIn because it's the best place. The platform is for business, right? Ultimately. And it's one of those things where in relation to other social media platforms, of course, you see a lot of video content, but LinkedIn is really changing in the way that people engage with it. The types of posts that you see, of course, are a lot more like, I guess, friendly and more social versus it just being all about business. But regardless, still, if you're posting the right type of content and you're doing all the things I mentioned before, you're going to create conversations where people are going to be like, hey, like, I'm looking for a copywriter, or I'm looking for a marketing exec, or a videographer. Like, I love your stuff, love your values. I want to invest or start working with you, right? And they're the types of conversations that you have if you produce the right type of content. So yes, I think it's very much an appropriate platform for video.
Awesome. We have another question from James. He's asking, what advice do you have to someone that needs to brief people to create video? For example, video advert. Or, for example, he adds to it that what do you need from a client to make a good video?
Oh, good question. So the first question, in short, I would say, if you're giving any advice, it's just, making sure that the intro is very, very strong. The intro has to be very strong, or the story has to be very strong. So whatever the product or service, whatever it is that you're providing, if the story is strong, and it keeps someone engaged throughout the whole video, then that's great. But if you don't have a strong storyline, just ensure that the intro is just starts with a bang, and it's just creative. Like, I know it's a very, I say that very loosely, like creative can mean so many different things, but it's hard to, I guess, be specific in relation to like the entire ad space. But yeah, if I'm anybody who's asking me about video ads, I'm always just saying, you know, the shorter the better, the more creative the better, but just focus on that introduction. In relation to the second question, in relation to, what was it again? Giving advice.
What do you need from a client? So when you're working on a brief, or when you're working as a consultant with a videographer, what it is that actually you need from the client to make a good video?
Yeah, so before I do any video, I always have like a consultation with them in effect. So I always speak to them and find out what they want to achieve, what's their objective, what is their objective, because I think it's hard to create any sort of story or I guess shot list if there is no purpose to the video. If you just want to create video content for the sake of it, you're going to be shooting blanks. Whereas if a business says, hey, like, I want to create a promo video that highlights my services, but it's not too salesy, for example, but also highlights, you know, the value that we have to provide and how we can help our customer base, right? Finding that type of stuff out and finding out the ideas they have, I pretty much brain dump that in a creative brief. And then what I do, I'll put together like a first draft of like a storyboard in effect. And then we normally just collaborate from that draft onwards. And we'll, you know, put together a script if it requires a script, put together a shot list if it needs a shot list. So yeah, it's normally the biggest thing is just finding out what they actually want to achieve. And like I said, using that objective to kind of figure everything else out within the video. So.
Cool. We have another question from James. He's really getting his time work today. He's asking, can you set a preview first frame and subtitle, kind of a thumbnail? Or how do you set a preview frame in an MP4? Because when he's posting to social media, the first frame of the video often is not the one that you want.
Very good question. And I wanted to speak about this, but I completely forgot to mention it. So yeah, the first frame, obviously when you post on social media, the freeze frame, I'm assuming you're talking about the freeze frame that you get when it's really weird. You're like in a weird position, right? So for Instagram Reels, for every platform now, you can add a thumbnail. So within the content creation process, like I can't remember the last time I haven't created a thumbnail for my videos. So like with Instagram Reels, IGTV, YouTube, LinkedIn, any video that you do, create your video, but within that content creation process, either screen grab a frame that you love within your video and use that to create a thumbnail to add on top of your video when you're posting it, or create a dedicated thumbnail. So snap a photo, take a selfie, whatever it is, add a nice, you know, call to action on the thumbnail, and then you can obviously add that. So you're avoiding the whole awkward, weird freeze frame that you get when you upload a video. And you know, and another thing of that as well, actually, especially for LinkedIn, you know, when you add stuff to your featured section, you know, because you have creative thumbnails and they're engaging, captivating, people are going to be more inclined to, oh, what's this? That's a weird thumbnail. And they click on it, they watch it, and they're engaged. And that's one of the ways that I'm still getting people engaging with some of my content that I posted months ago because of the thumbnail. And in relation to Subly, when it comes to setting the preview frame, yeah, I guess that kind of answers that question. So yeah.
Awesome. So I think James commented simple yet powerful on your earlier advice. Here comes James' video journal just for James. So I would say can't wait to see it, but I will never see it. So good luck with that, James.
I'm looking forward to it, James. Thank you. Thanks for all the questions too. Much appreciated.
Yeah. I want to say a huge shout out for everyone who's watching. If you're watching the replay and you have any questions, then make sure to connect with O on LinkedIn and hit him up if you have any further questions, and just let him know if you want to help with your videos. Then make sure that you get in touch as well. Oh, more questions coming. Awesome. Lydia is asking, how long does it take you to make a video start from finish, from pre-production?
Good question. I think it depends on the video. So if it's like a short talking head, like the other day, a few weeks back, I did a short talking head, which took me like maybe like an hour and a half. It wasn't long at all. I did like 1 or 2 retakes for each section, which is not common, by the way. I don't always get it done in one take. And yeah, but then there's other videos that take me a lot longer. So I think I try to, within a day, if I'm filming, I try to get 3 to 6 videos done. So if I'm setting time aside to film, I may start like at 10 and I pretty much may finish at like 4, 5 o'clock. It depends, but that's me getting like, yeah, 5 or 6 videos done in one hit. And that's like B-roll, and that's doing retakes and changing my lights around in the house and stuff. But other times I can be super lazy because I can't bother to do that, because I do that for everybody else. I just get my phone, I get my video camera, I keep it super basic, and I just put a lapel on and I just say what I need to say, and I don't faff about with any of the other stuff. So it really just depends on the video itself.
Yeah. I have a question is, do you have a favorite video of yours that really not necessarily performed the best based on the numbers, but that you really enjoyed making, or that you really thought was something different, that maybe you got the best quality of comments or maybe got the most hits? But if there's a video that really you're like, this is my favorite.
Good question. Have I got a favorite video? I think favorite video. I think there's one video I just enjoyed making a lot, and that was one I just spoke about, just because it wasn't anything crazy, and it did okay. It performed okay. And it was when I was just talking about, I think it was managing expectations, managing client expectations. And that one, I think I enjoyed it a lot because I tried to record it the first time like a couple weeks before. And the reason I redid it was because I actually was out of focus. It was so annoying within one of my recordings, and I was like, ugh. So I had to do it all over again. But the first time I did it, it just didn't. I didn't like it that much. But I spent the time recording it, so I was like, I'm going to just edit it. But when I did it again, I didn't overthink it. I didn't give it too much thought. I literally just spent an hour and a half. I recorded in 3 locations, did 1 take. I got creative with the transitions. It was fun to make. I came across well. I didn't have a script. I was just spoke off the top of my head, and yeah, it was just great. So I really enjoyed, I guess, doing that one and filming that one. But when it comes to, I guess, another video that I've guessed did really well, and I enjoyed working on as well, I did a rap video a while back with some friends in America, and that performed really well on LinkedIn. So that was good fun. And that was just, yeah, again, I did like a rap about why you should be using video. It was super corny, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'll probably do one again because people love it.
So. And that's kind of the reason for my question, because one of my favorite videos of yours is the one when you have like 3 different personas, and it's kind of a TikTok style, fast paced, or switching between these people. Mm-hmm. And it's a kind of a fast pace, and James is the same. They are the videos where you do multiple personas are the favorites. And that must take a lot of time and really planning where the crossovers will be between those individual scripts. So if we can sit on this video for a second, this concept of a video, could you break it down for us, please?
Yeah, of course. So alter egos are a great way to spice things up within your video content. I think if you're like a one-man band, or you have a, you're trying to provide as much value as you can, doing it in a way where it's like, I guess, you're not being salesy, but at the same time, you're kind of highlighting problems that people have, and then you're providing solutions in the same, all within the same bubble. It's really genius. And as well, alter egos actually make you feel you can be a little more confident. You can do things outside of your comfort zone because it's not you. That you're like, oh, that wasn't me, I was acting, right? So when I started doing them, yeah, I really do enjoy them, but they do take a lot of work. And when it comes to planning them, there's 2 ways you can do it. One, if you're having, I guess, 2 versions of yourself, and for example, there's two of me in one space, in one room, looking at each other, if that makes sense. How that works is that I have to get a tripod. You can do this by the way on a phone as well. You have to get a tripod. You then put your camera on the tripod, position it in a way where you're getting the entire space. Then you need to sit yourself down on one side, say what you need to say, keep an eye on the time and how long you've been speaking for, then change outfits, go on the other side, say what you need to say as well in response, along with like general, okay, that makes sense. And then what you need to do is pretty much cut that video in half and then stitch them together, because the tripod and the camera has stayed in the exact same space. So you don't need to worry about, how things will look or if you've moved things, because everything should be aligned. And that's why your lighting is really important too. You don't want to have any lighting where it's like darker, and I've done this a few times where it's darker on one side and it's lighter on the other because my lighting wasn't in the right position. So lighting is really key in that one. Another way, a lot simpler as well, is just by, having a split screen. So like this, I did this I think it's the last one I did. And I literally just, right now on my desk, I filmed my part I had to say, and I changed my outfit. I filmed in exactly the same space, my second part, and I literally just pretended like I was on a call, a Zoom call, and I was speaking to myself. But yeah, with that, you just need to kind of listen the easiest way to do it is just listen to your recording and then respond accordingly. So like you may not be able to see it, but I'll have like maybe like my script, or I'll have like my for example, something in my ear, a wireless earphone, and I'll be like listening to myself what I've actually said, and then I just respond like, oh hey, yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. So the timing is like really perfect. The timing, I'm like, maybe I'm speaking over him, or I'm nodding in agreement with what he's saying, type thing. So that, yeah, it's a great way to really get creative with you know, the stuff that you produce.
I love that really sneaky little tip of like just have a tiny little, these days the headphones are so small. If you have for girls, you know, I can hide them, no one can see them.
Yes, exactly.
To see that I'm actually having an aid in my ears. And well, sometimes people ask like, do you have a script? Do you read it? Do you memorize it? Do you talk off the cuff? Because obviously you want to be looking into the lens and really have the eye contact with the lens and with the audience. So this seems like quite a very nice and sneaky little trick that people could be using to have some hearing aids, pretty much with some of the prompts, that they can really focus the visual, but they get advice.
Yeah, it's a great way to I've actually never done it with general, just like if I have a script, I could technically just read my script out and then listen to it and then speak. I've never done that before, but yeah, that could work too, to be fair. That's quite a good idea.
Well, like it can actually work. Like if you have the right framing and no one can see, or if it's a part of the video that you have the headphones, because obviously you're recording with your headphones to have the good audio quality, so it doesn't look odd. You can have some script, you can have some prompts in there that if you really are struggling, if you're starting out and we need some aid, actually instead of visual aid, you can have kind of the hearing for kind of keeping you on script, which I think it's a great closing. So thank you so much for taking this time to really help us get not only more comfortable and empowered to do video, but give us some practical and very helpful tips to be creative. So hopefully, I'm looking at all of you guys watching. We had about 20 people watching, so I'm looking at you guys, and I'm excited to see your video somewhere online soon. If you have any questions, as always, get in touch, and we will share all the links and follow-ups and stuff like that. But thank you so much, O, for this brilliant session. It was great fun.
Thank you for having me, Lenka. Much appreciated. And thanks everybody for watching. Much appreciated too. Have an awesome day and see you guys soon.
See ya.